A new report is coming this week telling us where we are with Apple ever releasing Touch ID in a flagship iPhone again, and if this will be an under-screen Touch ID sensor. I want to talk about all the details behind this new report and also want to give you the latest on the iPhone 14 Pro release date and price as well. So we've just had Apple's latest peak performance event, and the iPhone 13 and the 13 Pro have some lovely new colours introduced. A lovely new green. But moving on to the iPhone 14 and these videos for them, I've decided I'm switching things up a bit with these videos. I'm now going to give you the latest on a leak or report of a feature for the iPhone 14 models and briefly go over the iPhone 14 release date and price as well. However, about once every 3 to 4 weeks, I'm also going to give you a summary of how the iPhone 14 models are shaping up in features. That will be coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So I would say over the last 2 to 3 years, we've heard many reports that Touch ID may return back to a flagship iPhone in the future. A lot of us love Face ID, but some of us do wish we had the ability of maybe a combination of Face ID and Touch ID, something like our Android cousins can provide, with a far less secure face unlock combined with an under-screen fingerprint scanner recognition sensor. An example of this is in the likes of, say, the Samsung Galaxy range of phones. However, for the iPhone 14, it does look like that Ming-Chi Kuo has finally revealed an answer we want to hear, or maybe we don't want to hear, about Touch ID ever returning back to the iPhone. He has said that for Apple, at least in the next 2 years of their flagship phones, so the next 2 generations, so basically implying the iPhone 14 and the 15 models, that they will not be getting Touch ID on either the standard iPhones, like for example the 14 and the 14 Max, or the Pro range like the iPhone 14 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The report does mention that Apple have played around with under-screen Touch ID ability, but they've decided instead to focus more of their attention on Face ID, and we can see that in some of the renders that you've been seeing here and also some CAD drawings that I showed recently in my last video. And basically it looks like that this year with iPhones that some of them will continue to have a notch while others will have a new Face ID design with basically a pill design and also a hole punch, and that will basically house the front facing camera and the Face ID sensors. To me, I would like to have seen the option to have Touch ID back in an iPhone, and maybe not even an under-screen Touch ID, but instead the same Touch ID that we get on the likes of, say, the iPad Air and the iPad Mini, where it's actually on the standby button on the side of these devices. However, let me know your thoughts if you are disappointed to hear this news, or if you think that Face ID is the way forwards and should continue be for many years to come. I would love to hear from you guys. So next, release date and price, but now is a good time than more than ever to mention that all reports and leaks that you are seeing right here are not 100% proof that they will come true with the new iPhone. I can only present to you what reports or information that is out there. However, if you are watching this video, you're as curious as I am in knowing what is going to be said about the next generation. Based on no chip shortages or components being hard to come by from now until the end of summer 2022, it is believed that the iPhone 14 Pro and other iPhone 14 models will be out at the end of September 2022. How do we know that the release date is going to be the end of September? Well, let me just do a quick history lesson of iPhone releases. So if we go back to the iPhone 4S in 2011, this classic iPhone came out on October 14th that year. Then skip a year to 2012 with the iPhone 5, it was September 21st, 2012. Then let's skip a few years ahead of that to 2016, where it was the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus, and the release year for that was September 16th. In 2019 we saw the release of the iPhone XS on September 21st and the XR on October 26th, and last year, for example, with the iPhone 12 models, the release dates were October 23rd to November 13th. Now, mainly you can see release dates have either been kind of mid-end September to kind of end October if there's something special coming out or something a bit different, with the main exception of 2021 where it was a bit unusual for the iPhone 12 to come out a bit later, but this was due to COVID, so we did have a release on all the models. However, this year in 2021 we're back on schedule with the iPhone 13, and that's being released at the end of September, with all 4 models having a date of their release of September 24th. So for 2022, Apple will be planning an event just before this happens. However, we'll see another event for other Apple products like the MacBooks, iPads, Apple Watch, AirPods and loads more other bits and pieces around that time. And if you want more info about those products, do check out my other videos on this channel and make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get the latest news on them. And also, if you want the latest news on the iPhone 14, for example, and other leaks and rumours that have been stirring around, do check out my other videos on this channel as well. So for pricing, it is believed that all iPhone 14 models will start with 128GB of storage at being the smallest amount this year. So it's quite easy how the pricing is going to work this year. The cheapest iPhone 14, what will be the normal 14, will start at $799. Then that new 14 Max model is just $100 more at $899. After this, with the Pro models, the normal 14 Pro will be starting at $999, and then finally the 14 Pro Max will start at $1,099. So you can see here that each iPhone tier simply increases by $100 for the lowest storage option on each